Erin Maguire is, she joins us every single Monday, by the way. She's a brilliant Republican strategist. I don't hold it against her that she is a rabid Bills fan as well. All right.
I got my cup of coffee this morning on a Victory Monday for you.
Fine. But don't deny, once that doink happened, you were sweating all the way to the ticking end. Don't deny it.
Darn it. Matt Prater giving me a heart attack. But honestly, it's not even the Bills beating the Chiefs as much as it was the Bills playing good football for the first time all season. We saw Josh Allen having a great game throwing the ball. We saw great ground game from our receivers. We saw great work from our tight ends. We saw our running backs have a great game. Reggie Gilliam, our fullbacks, did some of the best blocking I've seen all season. Our defense, our edge rushers, Joey Bosa, AJ Epinesa, I mean, we saw, and good Lord, Cole Bishop with incredible secondary play. Amen to Cole Bishop. All believe in that church all day. And Maxwell Harrison, his first game in Highmark Stadium as a Buffalo Bill rookie season, gets a pick on Pat Mahomes there. It was that was just good Bills football, and of course it gives me a heart attack. I was standing up at the very end when Prater doinked it, and I stood
all he had to
still
do,
in the
and
middle of my kitchen.
For people that didn't watch that game, all he had to do was make that kick, seals the game, it's over. There's no way the Chiefs can win it, and dong, he hits the upright.
Got to be a Bills game to do that, but thank goodness they won. It was good football. I loved so much of it, and I'm ready to squish the fish on Sunday.
It was a good game. It was a lot of fun. And the Bills are favored this season, of course, with the Philadelphia Eagles nipping at their heels again. So I could see an Eagles-Bills Super Bowl.
Oh, don't give me that kind of heart attack on a Monday. I cannot handle it. I want it more than anything.
Would you like that, Ed?
I would.
Ed is a lifelong Eagles fan. Would you like that matchup?
I think we match up good against the Bills, yeah. But I'm in for that, absolutely. Yeah.
That's because Ed's got so many Bills player on his fantasy team now.
Well, Josh Allen, who's been great. The other guy, the receiver's been terrible.
Yeah. No, our passing game hasn't been very good. Keon Coleman finally got a couple of targets today, but honestly, it's been run and it's been tight ends for us on the offensive scheme.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Maguire, let's shift to the other game you know well, politics. Here's what I want to know. Do you believe all the polls they're running this week on CNN and others that say Trump and Republicans are all taking on water, the shutdown is now being laid at their feet and not Democrats? Do you? I don't. Now, again, I don't. Maybe it's confirmation bias because I live in this space and I know the truth of the matter is Republicans keep bringing it up for a vote to reopen the government and Democrats keep shutting it down. Is that message really not getting out to the folks? Do they really not understand that on the street?
I think right now what we're seeing is some observation bias in polling. I think people are seeing more from the media in favor of Democrats for this shutdown than they are from Republicans. But generally speaking, I think most Americans have not yet been affected by the shutdown. Yes, there's a little bit of travel delay. Now that there's issues with SNAP and WIC and assistance programs, the feelings are going to be more real. And this is when people should start paying attention to the polling. Because up until this point, the American people haven't really felt any negative consequences from the government shutdown. Life continues as normal. People don't live in this Acela corridor bubble. And so for them, now is the time where I would actually start giving polling a bit more credence moving forward than I would anything previous to this. And Democrats are the one who know, one, have shut down the government, two, need to vote to open the government, and three, outside businesses right now are beginning to ramp up, and employee unions are beginning to ramp up pressure to say, pass a clean CR. That's what Republicans have wanted to do this entire time.
I have heard it said that the Democrats are simply waiting to get through Tuesday. They're using this as a motivation for Tuesday, and then they intend to vote to reopen the government. Is that what you're hearing, and will that work? I mean, I've seen the polls. Chitterelli, if you're to believe the Fox News poll this morning, for instance, of likely voters, Chitterelli's down 7 in New Jersey, Winsome Sears down 11 in Virginia. So right now, among likely voters in the polls that I've seen, it doesn't look great. I don't know. Is this shutdown helping Democrats? Is that their strategy?
I do think there is an absolute political calculus to these gubernatorial elections in keeping the government shut down. Virginia is home to the largest federal employee workforce. We are talking about people right now. This is a state where people are feeling the consequences of the shutdown. Most of the country isn't, but between federal employees and federal contractors in Virginia, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of voters who right now are not receiving a paycheck and anyways would be more likely, historically speaking, with how voting patterns have worked in Virginia, to elect the party not in power to the governor's office. We saw when Biden was president, Glenn Youngkin won that race. We're now seeing where you are seeing Abigail Spanberger pulling ahead. And this is a state where they would already be keen to vote against Republicans in this time frame. So for sure, this definitely helps Abigail Spanberger politically, and Democrats understand that.
President Trump is not backing off at all. I mean, he went on 60 Minutes last night. By the way, some king he is, giving him an interview on 60 Minutes to Norah O'Donnell, no less. And she peppered him, and he said, I don't think ICE is going far enough. I know he doesn't have to think about the politics for him anymore, but I mean, do you like the way he's kind of leaning in, not backing off, not equivocating a bit, not on the shutdown, not on the ICE stuff, nothing?
That's right. Well, this is what we would expect from President Trump. And I do understand the question you're asking about the political calculus, right? He is the mantle of the Republican Party. And are these aggressive actions going to help the party in the long run? And I say yes, especially when it comes to immigration enforcement. This was a top issue going into the 2024 election. It's been a top issue for Donald Trump his entire political career, and a mantle that he made stronger for the Republican Party. The fact that he has such an effective record on immigration, on getting the worst of the worst, these criminal illegals out of our country and essentially closing our southern border again, that is a good thing. So I like his bravado. I like him not backing down. And even in those moments of his strength, and I've said this before to you because I think he's the strongest executive we've ever had as a president. I don't think anybody has used executive authority more judiciously and with more strength than Donald Trump. But even in his leaning in, he's still negotiating. Yes, does he want the filibuster eliminated in the Senate, as he said, to get the government reopened? Yeah, but he disagrees with John Thune, and he's not bringing the pressure down on John Thune to say, do it now, it has to get done, and ramping up his political pressure. He's saying, okay, we disagree on this. So even in this, as he is as strong as he is, which is good for the Republican brand, he's still showing there's negotiation and room within the party.
What do you make of guys like Fetterman? I've asked you about him before, but it's interesting. Let's go with Jake Tapper here, number 64, if you would, Paul. John Fetterman talking about Mondami in New York, and we'll pivot into Mondami while we're at it. It looks like the margin for him has narrowed dramatically. I see one poll where he's only leading by 6 when it was like a wide open barn door between him and Cuomo before. Here is Democrat John Fetterman talking about Mondami.
That's going to be New York's voice. Socialism is not the future of my party, and if that's going to be their future, that's really up to New York City to decide those things. You know, we all know how socialism works out. Ask anybody that's lived under those kinds of systems all across the globe. But for me, as a Democrat, as a committed Democrat, I might disagree in some areas, much like shutting down our government or other areas now. But for me, as a committed Democrat, I am going to push back and announce people that this is wrong. And now we are hurting the very people that we fight for. And now we're getting nothing for them if we continue to keep our government shut down.
And again, to say nothing of his being as an Islamist, which I don't think is a small matter at all. But anyway, what do you say, Erin? How do you read it all?
One, I think that everybody deeply underestimated, myself included, John Fetterman and his ability to be practical, to be a sane voice of the Democrat Party. And even his messaging has changed there a little bit. You keep hearing him saying as a committed Democrat, because they kept asking him, oh, you seem to be siding with Republicans. Are you going to be a Republican? And he keeps saying, no, I am a Democrat. I'm just one with half a brain cell. I mean, it seems like the most obvious thing. He doesn't say that. That's me being a little quippy there. But he's the only one that seems to be standing standing up with a rational voice here. You counter that with Zoran Mandami, who is talking about government confiscation of personal property, who is talking about free buses. And Chris, you know Kansas City, when they tried free buses in Kansas City, they became mobile homeless shelters. It doesn't help people when you have good drug use areas for them to get clean needles. How about having resources for recovery and care and not continuing the crime of using heavy drugs in that way? Zoran Mandami and Democrats forget the core of socialism is taking from other people for everyone else except them. And the big problem with socialism, and John Fetterman knows this, is that eventually you run out of everybody else's money. These races are getting close, but I still think tomorrow Zoran Mandami becomes a socialist Democrat governor. Democrat mayor of New York City. And I think that's absolutely going to destroy the greatest city in the greatest country in the world.
Axios has a story today that Ken Martin, DNC chair, they're going through an identity crisis. He said the Democrats don't know who they are and nobody knows what we stand for. Obama's out there for Spanberger saying she knows we have to be able to disagree without calling each other nasty names. Some of them seem to be pretending to moderate. And they're getting away from Trump's breaking the Constitution and he's violating norms because it's not working. Will this work for them, the Democrats, broadly?
It only works in the short term because they ultimately flip back. There's all these cute little moments where Democrats pretend to play moderate. Look at Gavin Newsom, right? He had that bipartisan podcast of his where he was going to be a moderate and have voices like Charlie Kirk on to have these open, robust dialogues. And then he interviews Charlie Kirk, says that his son is a fan of Charlie's, really wanted to meet him, was super ginned up. And then after Charlie's passing, gets asked on CNN how his son handled it as a fan. He said, my son's not a fan of Charlie Kirk. It's just insane. Even the most basic things, Democrats, when they pretend to moderate, they go back immediately. It's a snapback to the socialism because that is the base of the Democrat Party. And so they try to say calling people names doesn't work. I bet you Abigail Spanberger will call Winsome Sears or any of those candidates a name. And Jay Jones, I mean, he talked about the political assassination of his rivals. It's all hollow coming from Democrats.
Erin Maguire, congrats to your Bills. Thanks for kicking off Monday with us again. Always appreciate you.
The Chris Stigall Show podcast.